And we are back. This is K24 this morning. My name is Mungala Mbuvi, and our conversation is around this question of the day. With the latest BBI intrigues, what do you think of the Deputy President's new stand? With the latest BBI intrigues, what do you think of the DP's new stand? Let us know right there on your screen. And as you do that, you can get your copy of the People Daily, *550 *4#, and for only 10 bob, you will get that conversation as we go on. And actually, it is part of the headline, Ruto calls crisis talks over BBI. Is he having a change of heart? Is it a tactical retreat? Well, let us know what you think. But moving on forward, we were having a conversation with Gloria just now, and it's around the process of the referendum. And Charles,
yes.
Let me just ask you the same thing that I asked Gloria about the clauses. If we actually do decide to go the clause way and vote for each individual clauses, you know, it's going to be a hectic process, surely. And there are some Kenyans who do not even have the time to go through all that and probably understand all that, especially the illiterate ones.
I wish that would be the only issue, if you ask me. And I think we need to start becoming Kenyans. You know, each other's keeper. If you tell me to vote on what interests me, then you're telling me the individuals who are minority in this country, especially the Northeasterners, that are asking for an extension, say, for example, on the sunset clause on certain issue, equalization fund and everything. Why will they get a majority to do that? Yet it's about 10 counties that benefit from that particular aspect.
But isn't that way how democracy works?
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking. I'm asking, in all fairness, the BBI team went to Northeastern. The issues they identified with were certain issues. So imagine a process whereby it is only certain issues that pass simply because of the individuals that support that particular majority in this country. And that's a reality. That's a reality we're going to experience right here, right now, if we go that direction. So I think this process must be more uniting than divisive.
Okay.
And it must be encompassing. Everyone must come on board and feel like our issues were picked and they are in this particular document. And if we don't do it that way, then we run a risk of starting a process that will leave us more divisive, and individuals that give in their views with the hope that they will be resolved, not being resolved. Now, having said that, again, I am thinking this is a document that was appreciated by everyone. Everyone said it's okay. Even the Deputy President has found something to identify with. When you tell us that there are certain things that need to be done in a certain way, what are you saying? In terms of this consensus we are talking about, I think the train has left that, has left the station, if you ask me. Because the moment the first person signed up to the BBI amendment bill, I don't think we can go back, because changing it from that point on means that person...
Another signature.
We have to start the whole process of signature. So the bill as is something we need to discuss as is. And the question will come at the tail end. So if 24 counties plus appreciate this bill as it is, then it means the country is happy about the bill as it is, because 47 counties will have an opportunity to vote for this particular bill, and those are representatives of the people at the lowest level ever, at the ward level. So if you have 24 counties saying yes, elected individuals, not people like myself who try to be MP and fail miserably. Those are MCAs who are elected by people. So if they approve this thing, 24 of them, and we have a constitutional provision in article in the 255, 256, 257, especially 257, that says for us to have this process move forward from the IBC, it goes through a process where at least 24 county assemblies approve. Then who are we to come and decide now, this bill, we need to split it into smaller bits, where now we decide IBC will give us 17 questions. Yet, the people themselves, through their representatives, approve the bill as is and said it's okay. So I think we need to look at that process and appreciate that we are people that appreciate the constitution that we have, and especially the provisions on how we amend this constitution. So why don't we allow the MCAs to either pass it or reject it? We had Punguza Muzigo bill. It did not go through the process of assembly, so the people rejected it, as it were, if you want to look at it critically. So if this one passes that particular stage, then we allow it to go all the way with a yes or no. It's the only way to go about it.
I want us to dwell on the question of consensus here, because Mark Bichachi, the front page Standard, says, it's too late to give your views now, Raila tells Muslims. But we have, on the other hand, the Deputy President tweeting that we still have room for conversations, even as the signature collection is ongoing. What does he mean by that?
Well, there are two things. are involved. Almost is the question of the referendum bill that has been published and people are appending their signatures to. I must admit here, it's not even about the 24 counties, but the moment the Kenyan citizens, a million of them, append their signatures to that document,
yes,
you cannot change an iota of that document. You cannot even change a single comma. So it is conjecture to tell Kenyans that there is room for change. And I must warn Kenyans that those who are committed to fight the BBI document are doing so out of selfish interest. It's not really about what is good for the people. And they're picking very petty issues to fight it. Secondly, they're also acting as though after we pass the BBI document, we will shut down parliament and we'll shut down referendum and we'll shut down the legislative process in this country. My friend, there is nothing that has stopped anyone, whether it is a public, an individual wanting to take a bill to parliament, there is a process by which you can do so. Whether it is a member of parliament who wants to take a bill to parliament, they can also do so.
Okay.
Whether you want to follow the Punguza Mzigo route and write a bill in your own bedroom and get 1 million people to sign it and your best friends to come and sign it in your living room, you are also allowed to do so. So these people who are acting like everything must be on BBI,
yes,
I do not know what informs your decision. And then this ideology that I've even had being said here, that because my full stop is not in that document, I'm not supporting it. It's quite wrong. So what must happen here is we must understand that the BBI is not the be-all and end-all of legislation. There shall be legislations after.
okay.
Secondly, and this is where I agree with the Deputy President, there is still conversations to be had around the policy and the administrative parts of the BBI. There are parts of it that are not in that referendum document, and those are open to implementation and conversation, because whether it is cabinet that will pass those policies, whether it is different ministries that will be tasked with putting those policies in place, we must then understand that we are open to interpreting and to putting those structures in place, because cabinet will have a conversation about it. And the last time I checked, the deputy president is a substantial member of the cabinet, if not the chair when the president is not there.
Yes.
Also, let me remind Kenyans that the Cohesion Commission is an independent commission. It does not take instructions from the President of the Republic of Kenya, which is why, and it is critical to understand that whereas in a lot of countries, we have seen them spend a lot of money in branding their country and giving them a lot of pride, Kenya is lagging behind in how we promote the pride, the unity, the harmony of this country. The BBI process is one of those things that has brought us to the table, and look at the quality of conversation we are having today. We are no longer discussing wheelbarrows and how many should be distributed. We are discussing MCAs and how they should be CECs, and how they should have millions of shillings to help Kenyans and to devolve funds. These are the conversations that we should have. But if you want to discuss wheelbarrows in 2020 so that we can meet Vision 2030, I invite you to feel very, very free to do so, but also give me an example of a wheelbarrow revolution anywhere in the world, and which first world country can thank the wheelbarrow for achieving technological advancement in this century.
If you can allow me, just allow me to interject. Yes, the National Cohesion Commission is an independent organization. It's an independent agency with a mandate to push for national cohesion. You do not need to have a ministry or an agency that is actually being directed by the president to ensure that we have the national cohesion. The same way we have independent agencies and independent bodies, including the judiciary, that have mandates, and we just have to ensure that they are, equipped enough They have enough resources to actually push for the mandate. So again, that is no business justification. And when you're saying that, the ship has sailed, that, this doesn't mean that you can't go and start your own punguza mzigo and go to parliament. Kenyans are free to convene and do whatever. Yes, we understand we are free to convene and do whatever, but what we are saying is, you have used our money. You have used taxpayers' money to push a state-driven referendum. You understand? Okay. You've actually gone to the kitty, taken our money, and said that we need this. So you have to stop for a moment and wait for us, because that's our money that you're using to even collect signatures. That's our money that you're using to go and, bulldoze those chiefs. And you're even telling them that it is alleged that they're being told, if you don't collect a certain number of signatures, you're going to be whipped out of your position. So you cannot then come back to us and say, oh, you can go and start your referendum. Punguza Mzigo was not funded by government, and I promise you, if that thing was funded by the taxpayers' money, we would have passed it, because they would have had enough resources to do sensitization. They would have had enough resources to actually demystify print documents and give to everyone. The other thing that I've seen, people are saying the ship has sailed, we are signing signatures. You cannot even imagine that changes were made, how many nights ago? Less than a week ago. So what are we appending signatures against? You have not even released those changes. I'm actually speaking of the changes by hearsay. I have not seen the BBI 3, 2.3 or whatever it is that has come out. So even those people that are being asked to sign, I keep questioning, do you know what you're signing against? These changes that have been done, have they gazetted them? Have they published them? Have they done civic sensitization? Have they brought them? They should have even done another launch, because they're using taxpayers' money anyway. So for me, it's elitist thinking to say the ship has sailed, we are gone, this is that. When you are using, let
us be careful and reasonable, because we are on national television. I'm the one who talked about a ship sailing. I'm talking about processes. The aspect of the referendum question comes almost at the tail end of this process. It starts with the amendment bill going to the IBC, IBC giving it to assemblies, a minimum of 24 assemblies approve it, pass the bills to 2 bills.
This is after the signature.
After the signatures, you confirm there are 1 million of them minimum. You give that bill to the 4 county assemblies, and the 47 county assemblies, they look at the bill, go through it, the way they go about bills, pass it. A minimum of 24 of them pass the same. And let me clarify this, because it's important for Kenyans to understand this. When a minimum of 24 pass the same, they pass it to the National Assembly and Senate, a copy each, with a certificate that we have actually approved this. When that happens, it goes to the National Assembly, Senate, they look at it. It does not matter how National Assembly and Senate vote. When it is about... it's about clarification. It's about clarification. It's about clarification, and it's about process. I want to say where the ship has sailed. When National Assembly and Senate pass, whether they approve it or not, it goes to the president. If the president looks at it and decides this needs to go to a referendum, then he gives it to IEBC. It is at that point that the referendum questions are introduced. The referendum question is not introduced at the beginning. It is only introduced at the end, where now we go to the referendum to vote for specific questions. That's why I'm saying.
I want us to get some feedback.
Let me say what I'm trying to say here, so that you get it.
Before we even go to the signature,
so the thing is,
collection,
you know what I'm telling Gloria.
We'll talk. Hold on, let's just see what Wanjiko is saying. Wanjiko is saying something, and then we get back to the argument. DP Ruto's stand is okay. BBI 1, DP supported. BBI 2, he raised serious concerns in the document and even heckled. Raila said nothing will change, but with BBI bill have changes which Ruto raised that Raila seemed not to know when he talked of support. Furiously, IBC party nominations. Okay. Let's check another one, and this one says, I think it's a tactical decision by the DP, and I will say it's a great decision. It's tactical because sometimes if you want to interfere with your opponent's strategy of bringing you down, you can join a side that he supports or hangs on. I think it is tactical, and he just wants to deal with Odinga's side. I am Ray Barasa from Tongaren in Bungoma County. Thank you very much, Barasa. Honorable Bonnie Turbulence here. All right. Ruto is simply saying we can't throw away the good ideas in BBI because of the many bad clauses in BBI. Instead of pushing Kenyans to vote no against BBI because of the bad clauses, Please, let's do consensus to preserve the good clause of BBI and do away with what is not good. Ruto is simply saying some parts of the BBI are good, not everything is bad. All right. Thank you very much. Do we have another one, Bwana Director? All right, the last one. Good morning, Mbuvi and the team. I think Mr. DP intends to make his interests in whether to support the BBI or in other way to discuss on the way forward. Now that signature collection is ongoing, and I like how my sister is reasoning about the whole discussion. Something must be done well here. Thank you very much. So can I? You can finish because I need to do this.
But he has clarified.
No.
He has clarified, and I'm in agreement with him. At the point where we actually part ways is where I'm saying, since this is a taxpayer-funded initiative.
Yes.
You owe it to the taxpayers that if the taxpayers are telling you, listen, before you go to this step, we have a problem right here with what is in the document.
Okay.
You owe it to those citizens who have paid for that launch, for that initiative, for that money that has been spent, to come back and say, actually, this is what we are rectifying. And then to say that 24 MCAs have passed it, so who am I? You know, that's a majority. We've been asking for audited reports of the representation. Because remember, we've had the people with disability come out and say they're against it, the Muslim, the religious leaders, we've had the Senate, we've had so many constituencies of people saying we don't want certain things. So who are these people that you're telling us have actually approved it? Because out of 50 million Kenyans, you have about 15 constituencies of people who have come to say, can you stop this? This is what we want to put in there or remove in there. So I think they owe it, as particularly because you're saying this was an initiative that was actually started by our president and that was funded by our money. Please don't tell me that the ship
unless you're allowing Gloria to amend the constitution right here on TV, Article 257, that says a minimum of 24 county assemblies will send us to a referendum. Then I think we need to clarify that those are representatives of the people. Whether we like them, do not like them, do not like whether they are tall or short, those represent you people. And by the way, you voted for them. You went to a queued for a very long time, voted for the president, went all the way and voted for an MCA. You better start liking them because they represent you and you have no choice. And that's why I think the Constitution in its, has decided the amendments that you need to take responsibility so that even when you vote, you don't complain. Let me clarify, my brother. What we are saying, let us tell, Movie, you are not allowing me to tell Kenyans.
Okay, 10 seconds, I need to introduce.
Because it is not fair to tell Kenyans that there is a possibility that that bill as is right now can be amended. The truth is, it cannot be amended right now. So the option we have is for it to go through due process. Then it gets
the very end.
And because BBI, like Mark has said, is not just about amendment to the Constitution. There are a lot of other issues. The issue now is no longer about the content, by the way. Even the Deputy President has said the content, as far as I'm concerned, I have seen very nice things. The issue is, do we vote for specific issues in the amendment, proposed amendments, or do we identify with the whole document and say, because it represents the ideals and the aspirations of Kenyans across the country, should I just pick one or should I vote for everything and support all of us?
Charles, I want to ask Mark Bichachi something. Mark, I don't know if you've been following the Deputy President's Twitter account, rather, but on the 27th of this month, he did say that the new Article 11A in the BBI Constitution bill introduced after bombers will anchor the ordinary people's hustler economics of wheelbarrows, boda boda, mamamboga, pastoralists, butchers, and guaranteed minimum returns on coffee, tea, korosho, sukari, maize, bottoms up, not trickle down economics. Now that is just one tweet. Another one, he says, rush not to conclusions or pretends to prophecy. Then another one, he says that I have constitutional duty to assist my boss, the president, just like you said. So 3 tweets, almost meaning different things. So where is the deputy president here as far as this bill is concerned? Is he supporting it? Is he against it? Is he on the fence?
You know, there's a comedy show that used to start by the song, yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Could you repeat the question? That's exactly where the deputy president has communicated. Because what he's doing is what is popularly known as testing the ground, and where he's trying to see what narrative sticks, and the feedback he's getting is probably going to inform his decision on Wednesday. But our role in this studio, I insist, is to give the most honest and intellectually honest opinions about this issue. That means we cannot sidestep facts.
Okay.
It is not undemocratic for MCAs to pass the BBI bill. This idea that MCAs, who are they, is a very funny, comical idea. It's a comical idea because these are people who are asking us to respect the Constitution, and then they want us to also ignore the gravitas and the weight that the Constitution gives certain assemblies that are assembled by the people and for the people. Which is why you cannot say government is spending our money. No, government appropriates and spends that money by the decision of the Kenyan people, which is why the National Assembly passes those bills. And in case we are not aware, the government also decides how much toilet paper will be used in civil service. Which one of us have ever been asked what we feel is the right amount of toilet paper that government should procure? So when we sit on national television and try to pretend that we want to usurp and undermine the roles of our democratic institutions, and then sit there and hope that we are going to exploit the ignorance of Wanjiku to score cheap political points, it is a low point for this country when leaders of a national capacity who have people listening to them intentionally mislead the people. It is wrong. Secondly, and lastly, let us be very clear. Let us be very clear. Anyone who has a smartphone and says they cannot access the bill, I am going to tell you that you are either lazy or you are the biggest liar that exists. Because I know for sure if you have a smartphone, the BBI report, the bill for the referendum exists on that website. Okay? If you can download memes, I can guarantee you can download that document.
Okay.
And therefore, I wonder, when you sit somewhere with your smartphone saying, I have not read it myself, are you admitting to your own ignorance or laziness? Okay. Because I am willing to discuss all day long someone's grandmother who does not know how to use a smartphone and needs the document in Swahili. There I will support you that we need to print and translate this thing and create even infographics for them. Okay. But please do not sit on Twitter and say, I have not read. If you've not read, it is your fault. You know, don't sit in front of television as we are now and say, I have not read. It is your fault. Let us not expect the government to spoon feed you at this point of technological advancement. Okay. We should be asking the government to save money because we've got it on our gadgets. So how do you sit on national TV and say, here I am with my smartphone and I've not read it? Come on.
All right. Mark, thank you. Gloria, I believe he's probably talking about you in regards to not having seen.
No, he's definitely
he's
trying
not talking about
He's definitely trying to address me.
Okay.
And I want to rightfully address him back.
All right.
I want to send him to go and read the data, mobile data connectivity report by our government, and let him come back with the stats of how many Kenyans have smartphones, not how many Kenyans are connected to mobile phones. Because remember, you can have a kabambe. I want him to come back to this station here and read those reports and tell us, out of 50 million Kenyans, we have 50 million Kenyans with smartphones.
Okay.
When he does that, I will retreat. Because I can tell you, Mark he speaks from a very privileged point of his perception is very privileged. I know you cannot. I work, no.
Mark, you will just give us a second.
I work with underserved communities in this country. I worked with marginalized youth in this country. And I'm telling you that he's talking about smartphones when they are actually dealing with basic needs, food, shelter, and clothing. So to say that everybody can access it, can download it, the fact that you even have a smartphone doesn't mean that you have data to download things. You know, it's coming from but I don't even want to address that because it's very elitist. What I wanted to talk about is you can fool some people sometimes, but not everyone all the time, to come and tell us that we are not involved in the budgeting and picking toilet papers and tea and whatever and whatever. We are through our elected leaders. And yes, I agree with him. Our elected leaders have got some oversight that they do on budgeting. But remember, when this BBI initiative started, I was one of the people who asked, who is funding this? And only today have I heard a government spokesperson, aka Mark Bichache, telling us that it was government sponsored. Nobody, actually, nobody, so far up until now, no one has come to national television to finally remove that veil and say, all this money that we have wasted on this initiative has come from your taxes, when remember, we are talking about a debt that Kenya has of 6.69 trillion. And last week, we saw the president saying he's going out of his way to fundraise by collecting debt for economic recovery. And here we are sitting on national television talking about, yeah, we have a right, nini, what. It's just, for me, this is how I look at it. We do not have that control. Personally, I don't have that control to go and say, stop this process, stop wasting my money. And I might have voted for an MCA who probably his vote has been, bought or whatever, compromised. It doesn't mean that we then sit and we hold our hands under our seats and say, oh, now there's nothing we can do. No, we'll come to TV and we'll call them out. We'll call them out for wasting our money. We'll call them out for plundering us into this economic debt that we are, because that is what BBI has done.
All right. Munyui, closing remarks as we say kwaheri to the conversation.
I'm disappointed. I thought the position of government spokesman is mine, awaiting confirmation. I'm disappointed that he's going to Mark. Having said that, the reality is, my brother,
yes,
these issues of BBIs and the back and forth, nobody has forced anyone to sign up to the 1 million signatures so that BBI can move to the next level where it goes to IEBC for confirmation of signatures, because every Kenyan will have an opportunity to interact with this bill ultimately when we get to the referendum. Nobody is forcing anyone. So those ones that are signing up are the ones that are quick to read. I remember the deputy president saying scientists are a little slow. It would seem a week later or a few days later, he has read the document and he has identified issues that make him happy as a person. So anybody who is signing up to it, and I want to believe that the deputy president has signed up after identifying certain issues that make him feel like now this is a good thing, have read this. You cannot sign unless you've read. And that's the bottom line.
All right.
Now, I think we need to tell Kenyans the truth, be honest with each other, and say, this process, when you sit back and say we need the president to continue his Big Four agenda, this is what BBI is addressing. And I think that's a reality, that every time we sit here and we want devolution to work, when devolution is so weakened by virtue of no resources going there, when functions are devolved, they are not followed by the money because the money hangs in the national government kitties. And I know a minimum of 15% that don't mean it cannot go to 35%.
Yes.
But when it's a provision in the constitution that a minimum of 35 must go, let the national government struggle to give 35% so that they can do the houses we are talking about. Remember, land is domiciled in counties. They can do agriculture so that they industrialize and we get food, and they can also do health, because health is largely devolved other than national referral hospitals and policy. And they can also, all those things are domiciled in counties. So we cannot say that BBI is not resolving these issues. So to tell me that we need to sit back, not spend some money to pass these things so that we get to the next level is not fair.
We shall do the civic education later. Mark Bichachi, confirm if you're government spokesperson, and also closing remarks. And please, let's make it 10 seconds.
Well, I do not indulge in the process of trying to justify positions that are obviously false. But I want to start here. Number one, the number of elite Kenyans with access to the internet, with gadgets that can access the internet, stands at 22.86 million Kenyans. Okay, so it is not an elite argument. And I also said I'm willing to discuss the fate of those who can't afford the internet. My issue is you cannot sit on national television with your smartphone and say you've not read. Let's just be honest with ourselves. So lastly, this BBI thing is a conversation. It is a conversation we need to have. It is a conversation that asks a Kenyan, who is a Kenyan? What is our behavior? What is our character?
All right.
Are we the kind of people that when a truck falls down, we steal from it? That is what we really need to address. Are we the kind of people who sit on national television and lie to Kenyans because we want to please someone who lives in Karen?
Well,
that's the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
I didn't get final remarks.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay, 5 seconds. I am being killed.
Yeah, my final remarks. Yes, we are saving money by not printing the hard copy of the Building Bridges Initiative. But guess what? We could have saved a lot of money if we actually never engaged in this divisive process. So for Mark, thank you for the stats. 22 million, 50 million Kenyans, 22 million have devices and are not plugged into internet. We can have a conversation later about the marginalized one, the underserved communities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This conversation will definitely continue elsewhere and at another time. Please do join us on our social media pages to contribute. And you can get your copy of the People Daily, *550 *4#. 10 Bob, continue the conversation. Ruto calls crisis talks over BBI. Let's see what happens on Wednesday. But do not go too far. We are back on the other side. Alvan Love is back, by the way, as we get interactive with Shiku Kaitani.